Black Mirror, Bandersnatch production. Design and writing. Bandersnatch is an interactive film, in which viewers are asked at various points to make a choice which affects the storyline. It was released on Netflix on December 28, 2018 and is available in 28 languages. Netflix had previously released some interactive programs for children, starting in 2017 with Puss in Book. Netflix also released the 2015 Telltale Games interactive series Minecraft Story Mode on their website in November 2018. Bandersnatch was their first release targeted at adults. Due to the complexity of Bandersnatch and the effort required to make it, the 5th season of Black Mirror was delayed, though it is still expected to broadcast on Netflix sometime in 2019. Brooker compared the effort they had to make for Bandersnatch equivalent to 4 regular Black Mirror episodes. The film was written by series creator Charlie Brooker. He and executive producer Annabelle Jones were approached by Netflix in May 2017 about making an interactive episode. Their initial instinct was to reject the offer, particularly over concerns over the lack of seamless transitions from earlier interactive movies. However, while during a script meeting a few weeks later to review potential ideas for the upcoming 5th season of Black Mirror, they conceived of a plot which only worked as an interactive film, based on a programmer making a video game out of a choose-your-own-adventure book. This concept, alongside the interactive nature of the work, served to amplify the effects of interactivity rather than just make it a gimmick. Brooker had previously conceived of multiple endings for the 3rd series episode Playtest, a nightmare mode version of the episode, played when the viewer had seen the episode once before, would have ended with a much darker resolution. Brooker initially envisaged the film as having one clear story, with a few different scenes at the end, until he had the idea of the film remembering earlier choices and incorporating them. As to keep the narrative focused with the numerous divergent endings, Brooker kept the story's core concept around the freedom of choice or the illusion of that freedom. Jones worked to develop characters that were believable and would fit with any of the film's possible endings. At Netflix's suggestion, Brooker wrote the 170-page script in Twine, a tool for writing interactive fiction, also utilizing Scrivener, Final Draft and multiple versions of Microsoft Notepad. The basic structure of the film took the most time to write, and the script underwent 7 different versions. As the first Netflix interactive content for adults, Bandersnatch required more complex choices than previous interactive works, leading Netflix staff to create a bespoke tool which they named Branch Manager. But this only became available to Brooker a few months into the episode's development. The learning curve on the Branch Manager and other software pieces took considerable effort for Brooker. Brooker in production also considered how to present the choices to the player, initially using a format that provided nonverbal visual cues to the viewer on the choice. They found this baffled test viewers, and instead used text options, temporarily letterboxing the frame to make the choices clear. There are over 1 trillion possible paths the viewer can take. Discussions were had over the number of choices the viewer should make and how the film should be paced. The storylines and branches continued expanding into pre-production. Streaming with seamless transitions from one scene to either of 2 choices requires the 2 subsequent scenes to be pre-cached, which meant that Bandersnatch could not be made available on some older devices, or Chromecast or Apple TV. To help viewers who may not be familiar with how adventure games work, the film includes an early, seemingly trivial choice of which breakfast cereal Stefan has. This not only shows the viewer how choices are presented during the film, but how their state is recalled by the Netflix app later in their viewing. In this case, the cereal selection informs a television advert and movie. The film will progress with a predetermined default choice if the user does not respond in the short window given. If no choices are selected, the viewer will get the most basic version of the story, as determined by Brooker. The flash-forward ending involving Pearl Rittman was considered to be the one most commonly reached by viewers of Bandersnatch, according to Netflix. The scene itself is meta to the work, but it was also a rather personal scene for Brooker, who found himself in a similar position as Pearl in trying to work himself through pages of complex decision trees while writing the script. Several of the paths put the viewer towards the choice of having Butler kill his father, though the viewer is given the option to avoid this. However, not all endings can be reached without Butler killing his father. McLean stated that this was done to give the viewer the sense of having their own control over the narrative, when in reality we're being funneled towards making this choice. Casting and filming. Bandersnatch stars Fionn Whitehead, who appeared in the 2017 war film Dunkirk, Will Poulter, an actor in the 2014 thriller The Maze Runner and the 2017 crime drama Detroit, and Asim Chowdhury, a star of mockumentary People Just Do Nothing. Poulter announced that he would reduce his Twitter activity for mental health reasons, following release of Bandersnatch. Davis is played by independent game developer Jeff Minter, who has developed several psychedelic video games including Polybius, inspired by a video game urban legend of the same name. Some of Rittman's character was informed by Minter's own background. Writer Warren Ellis reported that he had been asked to portray Davis but could not commit to the open shooting schedule and travel that the show required. The film was directed by David Slade, who previously directed Series 4 episode Metalhead. The score was composed by Brian Wrightsell, with a soundtrack featuring songs such as Relax by Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Hold Me Now by Thompson Twins, Here Comes the Rain Again by Eurythmics, Too Shy by Kajagoogoo, Making Plans for Nigel by Ecstasy and Love on a Real Train, Phaedra and Mysterious Semblance at the Strand of Nightmares by Tangerine Dream. Production took 8 months, while filming lasted around 35 days, which was considerably longer than the average for a Black Mirror episode. Slade highlighted Colin as the hardest character to understand, as one scene needed to be shot 3 times, with Colin having different levels of knowledge at each stage. Slade told Poulter to focus not on how his character knew information, but simply that his character did know. Some exterior filming took place in Croydon during April 2018. Among locations used included St. George's Walk, with storefronts redressed to appear as stores from the 1980s, and No. 1 Croydon, the apparent headquarters for Tuckersoft. Assets were required to be locked in for Netflix by the end of November 2018.